The media and GOP never-Trumpers deserve no quarter. They are traitors. This is Barron reporting from LetMeGetThisRight.com. Now that Donald Trump has won the presidential election in a historic sweeping victory, it's time that we all remember exactly who the never-Trump crowd were and offer them no quarter. This band of traitors tried to play high and mighty in the run-up to the election and were just as bad, if not worse, than our opponents on the left. In fact, the never-Trump crowd is worse than our opponents on the left because they actively work to undermine the presidential nominee chosen by the people. These turncoats ran to the Clinton and Democrat-controlled mainstream media to do everything they could to undermine the will and vote of the people. These are the same jackasses that brought us John McCain and Mitt Romney as their choice to run against Obama and told us we needed to get in line and get out to vote for these rhinos, all the while knowing that neither one of them stood a snowball's chance in hell. Personally, I have much more respect for an adversary that comes right out and fights face-to-face than a supposed ally who actively works to win the battle for the other side. There is a reason that prisoners of war are exchanged when the fight is over, but traitors are shot or hung. Now don't get your panties in the wad. I'm absolutely not advocating violence against any of these sellouts, but I do advocate them being named, shamed, and remembered for being the traitors that they are. When the time of choosing was upon us, they chose to stand by Hillary Clinton and her corrupt political machine over the will of the people. There are folks who were initially on the list, but did come to see the light and got behind the people's choice, like radio host Mark Levin. But there are many, many more that rode the never-Trump train right up through election night. Then there were the super crybabies like John Kasich and Jeb Bush, who claimed they would support the Republican nominee when they thought Trump could never win, but backtracked like the rhinos they are when Trump won the nomination. Even Ted Cruz made a last-ditch effort to jump in and support Trump, but not until he realized that Trump had an actual chance of winning and that he'd better get on board before he ended up looking like a total ass monkey like Kasich and Jeb. Many of these folks, since election night, have been scrambling to the alphabet news channels or turning up their microphones to offer up their opinion of what Trump needs to do to bring unity to the party and what he needs to do to be successful. But we must remember, they were 100% wrong about everything else during this election cycle. They ridiculed all of us that voted for and supported Trump, and they actively worked to hand the election to the criminal Hillary Clinton. And we will never know their true intentions in offering their feedback or advice, since they've proven they will stab us in the back in the run-up to the election. What makes us believe they won't do the same now that Trump has won the election? So I offer you this alphabetical list from thehill.com of supposedly conservative never-Trumpers that we all need to keep close in our mind when they are parading themselves on TV or your favorite talk radio program. Representative Justin Amash of Michigan. Governor Charlie Baker of Massachusetts. Brian Bartlett, former Mitt Romney aide and GOP communications strategist. Glenn Beck, radio host. Michael Berry, radio host. Max Boot, former foreign policy advisor to Senator Marco Rubio, Republican, Florida. Brent Bozell, conservative activist. Former Governor Jeb Bush. Bruce Carroll, creator of GayPatriot.org. Jay Caruso of Red State. Mona Sharon, senior fellow at Ethics and Public Policy Center. Linda Chavez, columnist. Dean Clancy, former FreedomWorks vice president. Elliot Cohen, former George W. Bush official. Former Senator Norm Coleman of Minnesota. Charles C.W. Cook, writer for National Review. Doug Kuhn, Stay Right podcast. Rory Cooper, GOP strategist, managing director of Purple Strategies. Jim Cooning, former California assemblyman. Representative Carlos Curbelo of Florida. Steve Deese, radio host. Representative Bob Dole of Illinois. Ross Douthat, New York Times columnist. Eric Erickson, writer. Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona. Mindy Flynn, president of Empowered Women. Daniel Foster, contributing editor to National Review Online. David French, writer at National Review. John Gabriel, editor-in-chief of Ricochet.com. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Michael Graham, radio host, Jonah Goldberg, writer, Alan Goldsmith, former staffer, House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Stephen Gutowski, writer of the Washington Free Beacon, Representative Richard Hanna of New York, James Brown Hantman, former Special Assistant for Legislative Affairs for President George W. Bush, Stephen Hayes, senior writer at Weekly Standard, Doug Hay, former RNC Communications Director, Quinn Hillier, contributing editor at National Review Online, senior editor at The American Spectator, Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland, Ben Howe, Red State writer, former Representative Bob Inglis of South Carolina, Sherry Jacobus, GOP consultant and former Hill columnist, Robert Kagan, former Reagan official, Randy Kendrick, GOP donor, Matt Kibbe, former FreedomWorks CEO, Representative Alan Kinzinger, Republican from Illinois, Senator Mark Kirk, Republican from Illinois, Philip Klein, managing editor at the Washington Examiner, Bill Kristol, the Weekly Standard editor, Frank Lavin, former Reagan aide, Justin LaFranco, former Scott Walker aide, Kevin McFadden, former Mitt Romney aide, Bethany Mandel, senior contributor at The Federalist, Tucker Martin, former Governor Bob McDonnell, Republican of Virginia communications director, former RNC chairman Mel Martinez of Florida, Liz Mayer, GOP strategist, Lachlan Markey, writer for the Free Beacon, David McIntosh, Club for Growth president, Dan McLaughlin, editor at Red State, Ken Melman, former RNC chairman, Tim Miller, Our Principles PAC, Joyce Mulliken, former Washington State senator, Ted Newton, political consultant and former Mitt Romney aide, James Nuzzo, former White House aide, Katie Packer, chairwoman of Our Principles PAC, former Governor George Pataki of New York, former Representative Ron Paul of Texas, Katie Pavlich, town hall editor and Hill columnist, Art Pope, GOP donor, Brittany Pounders, conservative writer, Thomas Regalado, mayor of Miami, Representative Reed Ribble of Wisconsin, Marlene Ricketts, GOP donor, former Governor Tom Ridge of Pennsylvania, Representative Scott Rigel of Virginia, Mitt Romney, 2012 GOP presidential nominee, Representative Elena Ross Lighton of Florida, Paul Rosenwig, former Deputy Assistant Secretary, Department of Homeland Security, Jennifer Rubin, Washington Post conservative blogger, Patrick Ruffini, partner at Echelon Insights, Sarah Rumpf, former Breitbart contributor, Mark Salter, writer and former aide to John McCain, Representative Mark Sanford of South Carolina, Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska, Elliot Schwartz of Our Principles PAC, Gabriel Schoenfeld, senior fellow at Hudson Institute, Tara Setmeyer, CNN analyst and former GOP staffer, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief, The Daily Wire, Evan Siegfried, GOP strategist and commentator, Ben Stein, actor and political commentator, Brendan Steinhauser, GOP consultant, Stuart Stevens, former Romney strategist, Paul Singer, GOP donor, Eric Soderstrom, former field director for Carly Fiorina, Charlie Sykes, radio host, Brad Thor, writer, Michael R. Treiser, former Mitt Romney aide, Daniel P. Vadich, former national security advisor to Ted Cruz, Connor Walsh, former digital director for former Representative Eric Cantor of Virginia and founder of Build Digital, former Representative J.C. Watts of Oklahoma, Pete Weiner, New York Times contributor, former Governor Christine Todd Whitman of New Jersey, Meg Whitman, president and CEO of Hewlett-Packard, George Will, writer, Rick Wilson, Republican strategist, Nathan Wurtzel, Make America Awesome Super PAC, Bill Yarbrough, Chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Ohio, Dave Yost, Ohio Auditor of State. And let's not forget that former Presidents George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush both sold out the people that voted for them by showing that their allegiance was to their political cronies, the Clintons, and not to the American people. There is a reason that the Bushes and the Clintons vacation together, and it's because they are all part of the same corrupt, self-serving cabal of political insiders that have enriched themselves to the detriment of the American people. The only difference between the Bushes and the Clintons or Obama is that they have a little bit more class when screwing over the people of the United States. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one, and leave your comments below. You can also find more great videos that I'm curating from around the web on LetMeGetThisRight.com and check out my Facebook page. Take care, y'all. God bless.